Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you 3 new subnet alpha tokens, and as always I've spent my time analyzing. I'm analyzing hundreds of these subnets, and everything that I present to you today is based on my own research, and it is a combination of fundamental core value propositions like real world utility. um, do any of these projects fit any of the ongoing narratives that people are investing in crypto? Because I know that crypto today is all about narratives, and so if you're in the right narrative, you tend to pump and you tend to gather attention on crypto Twitter, whatever that means. And today's alpha tokens that I'm going to present, and the subnets and the projects behind them, have actually intrigued me in some sense, because one of them is solving decentralized training and reducing training costs for complicated AI models with billions of parameters by 99%. Another one is building a subnet that will allow sophisticated researchers to predict and detect early cancer detection, right? And the third one is kind of building something really cool in the sports prediction market space. So I think all of these are billions of dollars in terms of its potential impact to the market. And Bittensor, with its powerful incentive layer, has created all of this, has led to the creation of these tokens. So as always, we're going to start by looking at the Tau chart first. I think it's very interesting where it is right now, and you should definitely keep a closer look. As always, everything I say and talk about in this video are my personal opinions. This is not financial advice. So take everything with a pinch of salt. Use this as educational material or something that will nudge you to do your own research, because at the end of the day, guys, it's your money and you have to decide what's the best portfolio strategy. I am all in on crypto, decentralized artificial intelligence, crypto AI as a narrative, as a category. There are many reasons, and I've spoken about this in previous videos as well. If you haven't watched my earlier alpha alpha bets, then I would recommend that you watch these videos up top. But having said that, I think it's very extremely important that you realize that we're now at a juncture where the marginal increase in the quality of these models is slowly dropping, and as they drop, you will see and as they drop, you will see I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, so the marginal increase in the quality of these models is slowly kind of tapering down, which basically means that for every additional dollar invested, every additional unit of resource invested is not giving us, is now giving us incremental increases in terms of these models' reasoning capabilities, their learning capabilities, and other things. It's important to keep that in mind when you think about an alternative, right? So yeah, with that, let's dive in. All right, guys. So here we are. I'm starting with the Tau chart today. As you can already see, that for the past couple of, and I'm on the daily chart right now, and as you can see, for the past couple of days, there was this sell rally, which led to the price to drop, and now it is again starting to recover. But here's the point that I want to make, and this is, full disclosure, I'm not a technical analyst. I don't care about technicals. I'm more of a fundamental investor. I look at opportunities that will exist in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and definitely Tau is one of those. But the pattern that is emerging right now is what is known in the world of technical trading as the cup and handle. So this, as you can see, is the cup, and forgive me for my really incredibly bad drawing, but this is the cup and handle, right? So you have the two tops of the cup, which is almost at this line, which is 491, which becomes the top layer of the cup. And then, you almost always see this kind of pattern where the price goes down significantly and then goes back up again. And then at this price, it then starts creating a new pattern. If you look at the pattern right now, you have a descending line here, and then you have another and then you have another one which is right here. What does this signify, right? What this signifies is, and usually what's being talked about whenever this pattern exists, is we should now test for a breakout, right? And so as we can already see, there is a little breakout already happening. And so as soon as it crosses, this upper band of 491, it will just simply go berserk, right? It will start moving and kind of like in an upwards direction, right? So it's basically going to first, let me just go back again. So what's going to happen is it's going to test this range, then going to go down a little bit, and then it will go to its rally, right? Another indicator that technical traders can look at is RSI, and that's the relative strength index. And as you can see at the, TradingView has this amazing cool feature where you can create the RSI and it will show you at what point the bulls and the bears activated in the market. And if you look at the 30-day RSI, you can already see that this was the point where the bears kind of broke in, right here, and the prices broke down. And now we're at these levels again, right? We're somewhere around here. I think this is even from this chart, it is indicative to me that there might be a recovery from here, simply because RSI is at this point right now, and again also the cup and handle, technical chart. So keep this in mind. I think at 378, it's still a good bet, even if you're not into technicals, like I'm not. I just use them to guide my entry points in any of my fundamentally strong projects. But I think you should really think of Bittensor as an opportunity to invest in cutting edge AI projects in ground zero. That really is the opportunity with now. So yes, I think at 378, I'll continue to DCAN at these points and keep moving up, right? Okay, what's happening in the subnet ecosystem? If you aren't doing this already, I would recommend add this to your daily ritual. All good investors, good traders have a ritual where they want to get a sense of the market. And DTAO actually does a pretty good job. TAO app actually does a great job summarizing all of this information. So as you can already see, the fear and greed index is kind of in the yellowish, reddish zone, which means there is now strong fear in the market that there's a lot of greed, which means a lot of money is being pumped. And so when this happens, prices normally tend to start kind of dropping, which is exactly what has happened across all subnets. And so from this point, I feel like we now have good entry points in many of the subnets that I've spoken about, and we'll cover those in a bit. So keep an eye on these charts. Another thing that I want to show you is the tau and subnets to tau and root. As you can see, over the past couple of weeks, like from 24th of May, we've seen a consistent decline in the percentage of tau logged in root, which is now 60.8% of the total tau, which has dropped from 62% to 60%. So almost 2% of whatever was in the root subnet has all been swapped out. And so where has it gone? If you look at the percentage of tau held in wallets, you can already see that this is declining. So it's clearly not being held in wallets. Rather, what we've seen is increase in the percentage of tau in subnets. What this means is that people are withdrawing their tau, they're using the tau in their wallets, and they're buying alpha tokens. This is good news because this is a strong bullish indicator for demand and attention in these subnet alpha tokens. Keep that in mind when I explain to you, other details about the projects that we're going to cover shortly. But this is a strong indicator that, hey, the markets are starting to realize that many of these subnet alpha tokens are actually building AI projects that are of utility, and people are interested, people are talking about it, and there's a bunch of other, very strong like tailwind factors which is driving this. Like I just the other day I read this news that CoinGecko has now integrated all of these subnet tokens fully on their platform. Now CoinGecko, listing is probably a precursor to a lot of cool things happening for the DAO ecosystem, for the Bittensor ecosystem, because attention drives liquidity, it drives users, it drives traders, investors, all sorts of folks, and being for them to be able to have their own dedicated dashboard where anybody can now start looking at and exploring these tokens is a big win for the Bittensor ecosystem, which is why I'm saying like there's a lot of like really strong fundamental reasons for why I think Tao is very well positioned, or many of these subnet tokens are very well positioned to kind of win in the marketplace. All right, guys. So we all know. So with that, I want to now reveal my 3 new Bittensor alpha tokens that I believe could 50x. I don't know if that's going to happen in this cycle or the next or in the next decade, but I feel like they are building something which is extremely valuable and are serving markets in the real world with incredible demand for products and services like this. So with that, let's jump in. The first token that I want to talk about is Subnet 38 distributed training. Now, what is Subnet 38? What is distributed training? Let's try and understand this. If you think about OpenAI or any of these centralized AI companies which are building models, when they train a model, the process of model training goes something like this. So they would probably start with a really large, organized, cleaned data set, right? And then once they have this data organized, cleaned, and ready for training, they will start applying an algorithm and use some levers to make the algorithm understand the data, right? Make meaning out of it. That process where you give it a large amount of data and want the model to have a general understanding of how humans think, how humans write, what are the meaning of a phrase, how a given phrase is followed by some words. That basically is the process of training. And today, and just to give you some context, when OpenAI started training GPT-4, it cost them over $100 million. Right? So that's point number 1. It's extremely expensive. Point number 2 is that future models, I was reading this quote from Anthropic's CEO who said that as these models mature and we're looking at even more billions of billions or maybe a trillion parameter model, we're going to certainly see training costs skyrocket. What does that mean? It means that to train more sophisticated models and to create more sophisticated AI, the cost of training would probably go into billions or maybe tens of billions of dollars. And this prediction, by the way, is for 2025 and estimated 2026. So we're looking at 26 like billions of dollars up required to train these models, and the only people who can do this are people with deep pockets, large corporations like Microsoft and Google, and of course OpenAI, who's being backed by Microsoft and now SoftBank as well. So keep that in mind, right? It costs millions of dollars today. It costed millions of dollars to train GPT-4. To train more sophisticated models, it will cost even more. It will cost 10x or 20x of that. And then these costs lead to centralization of AI power in the hands of few. And we don't get to vote. We can't decide, and we can't even know if these models are being trained to respond to certain kinds of, like prompts, or maybe they are blacklisting some information, or just making these models extremely dangerous, so it works for them but kind of destroys anybody else who's not in their good books. This is point number 1. Like right now, AI is like it's like a dictatorship. Like you're forced to live with it and you can't do anything about it, right? You never get a vote in. So what is Subnet 38 doing? Subnet 38 is building GPT. It's building a large language model. It's just training a model without this $1 billion bill. How, right? So Subnet 38 is a decentralized AI training network where miners across the globe are training a shared model, right? So you have compute which is distributed around the world, and these miners are collaborating their compute power to train a shared model. And it kind of works like this: like we take a large model, we break this down, and it's very, like, it's a simplistic explanation, but it works. You break this out into smaller understandable bits which their machines, their GPU, their compute can manage. They train it on that little slice of information, and then they all send their responses back to the network. The validators then take their individual chunks and verify whether the results are matched to a certain standard. And if it does, they take the best bits from all of these miners and then bring it all together to create this one giant model. And this to me is a unique creation, because what leads to this is, when OpenAI is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to train their model, Subnet 38 is probably doing it for less than 200K. So that's a 99.8% drop in training costs. I also want to say that they've already trained models up to 1 billion parameters, and they're looking that their next target is to train a 7 billion parameter model with live provable convergence. So they're building the next GPT. It's not just a data center, but it's globally distributed compute, reducing the training cost by 99%. Can you imagine the implications? It's huge. The last point I want to make about Subnet 38 is it's trustless. It's trustless, which means everything is verifiable. It's not a black block. It's not a black box AI like OpenAI or Google. It's tokenized and actually working. So Subnet 38 uses an advanced technique called butterfly all reduce. It's a fancy way of saying exactly what I said, which is it synchronizes information from these multiple miners who are working on their own slices of the model and bringing it all together. That's what butterfly all reduce means. Validators are checking training quality live. They're banning cheaters and rewarding the honest miners without needing to trust anyone, because they're just verifying information over the blockchain. And it is the first system in the world to train a billion parameter model completely trustless, incentivized via Tau through the Bittensor protocol, and fully decentralized. Can you imagine what kind of it's the DeepSeek moment? You remember when DeepSeek came in, everybody was like, hey, how the heck are they able to train a model at a fraction of the cost and keep it open source versus OpenAI? And then there were some allegations by OpenAI that, hey, they stole our model weights and this and that. But the key point to note is, if you thought DeepSeek moment was big, this is bigger, because this is not controlled by a communist government somewhere. It is not controlled by a large private entity. This is global, this is distributed, this is trustless. Anybody can join in as a miner, start providing their compute for training, really compete on a clear, transparent, open for all platform, and earn rewards. And at the same time, work together for the future of transparent AI, which I think is extremely important. So it's not vaporware. This is actually the first decentralized AI model, and it's alive. I think the AI arms race is only getting hotter, and so the next leap probably is not going to come from a $10 billion AI lab in Silicon Valley. I think it's going to come from tokenized subnets like Subnet 38, decentralized distributed training. Keep these things in mind, because I think Subnet 38 might just be the first decentralized brain. And that's powerful, guys. That's extremely powerful. That's extremely valuable. That brings me to a close on Subnet 38. It's currently trading just very quickly at 28 million. As you can already see, the price action has kind of dwelled down for the past couple of trading days. I think at 28 million, for a project which is reducing training costs by 99%, it's a no-brainer. So, yep, that brings me to an end on subnet 38. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is subnet 30. Now, subnet 30 is Bettensor. So what Bettensor is trying to do is they're essentially creating a subnet that is going to have a huge impact on the global sports betting market. The global sports betting market today is over $250 billion in demand and market cap. Bettensor is decentralizing the prediction layer itself, the oracle layer itself. So how does it work, right? The thing to note about Bettensor in terms of the first thing is the market opportunity. On Bettensor, you have open participation, right? So you have these miners, and anyone can become a miner by simply making good predictions, right? There are no GPUs required. There is no technical setup required. And so let's say you're into a sport, let's say soccer or baseball. You can join their ongoing games, participate. You can either use your own, it's up to you how you best analyze games, how you best make predictions. For somebody who has spent, 15 years playing the sport, they build this inner instinct to make these predictions. But for somebody else, they might be using, sophisticated prediction models. So what they're doing is they're running these competitions where there is a 1,000-point budget to simulate bets on across games, and rewards are based on your prediction accuracy and risk-adjusted returns. So at the end of the period of that game, validators, they organize all the scores, all the predictions that different people who are participating as miners are making. They take that data and they figure out, okay, these are the 5 who did the best. And so this is one of the few subnets where alpha isn't just limited to compute power, but by brains, actual brains. And this levels the playing field and opens the floodgates, in my opinion, for crowdsourced intelligence. You're able to curate insights from a large group of diversified people by essentially incentivizing them. Now, what is the bet, right? Now, the foundations of this business is on creating an infrastructure for a betting oracle economy. So they could eventually be serving, this subnet could essentially serve as the pricing layer for betting dApps. They're open to both humans and model generated lines for every game, which I think is interesting because it opens the playing field, and they can monetize attention and prediction data. I think this is extremely interesting. It's like, it's very much like Chainlink. Like Chainlink today powers DeFi with price oracles. And Bettensor could be powering betting platforms to access this prediction feed. And that's extremely powerful because we're already seeing how many of these prediction markets are leveraging AI agents and using trained machine learning models to provide them insights so they can make better bets. And that's their business. And by curating all of this information, crowdsourcing it, organizing it, making it transparent, I think Bettensor has a huge market opportunity to tap into the $250 billion sports betting market. In terms of its price action right now, as you can already see, it's kind of it went to its super high right here, and there was like some crazy like buying activity happening, and then it's kind of it has started to taper off. At FTV of 41 million, I think it's slightly over expensive because they are yet to prove demand. But nonetheless, keep them on your radar. Watch and observe how they're performing. Join their subnet. Keep a track on them on social media. So and time your entry points. Like I'd probably want to get in as cheap as I can, maybe at somewhere around these levels, because I really don't see any clear support at any level. It's just too volatile right now. I do see a range at this point, maybe at this point, but that's about it. We don't have enough history on this chart But keep an eye on this. I think the 24-hour volume, as you can see, has gone up significantly by 11,000%. Buy volume is increasing much more than sell volume, which is an indicator that things might shift. And I think at $1.91 at a FTB of 41 million, slightly expensive. Probably want to get in at around somewhere around 25 to 30. So keep that in mind. And with that, let's move on to our last subnet, which is also by far the one that has made me extremely bullish on the future of science and on the future of Bittensor as well. Now, what is Subnet 76? Subnet 76 might just be the first real world, crypto app that literally saves lives. And I'm not kidding. It's flying under the radar right now, but could quietly become one of the biggest DeFi opportunities in the coming, in the coming cycle, or maybe in the coming couple of years. But it's definitely there. So first, what's the opportunity? What the subnet is trying to do is create a model for early cancer detection. Now, how big is the cancer detection market? The cancer detection AI healthcare market is projected to grow to $10 billion. Yes, you heard it right, $10 billion. And growing, but most of it is, gated. It's behind, VC walls. It's, VC-backed medtech companies. It's also bogged down by slow regulations and high costs. And SafeScan is essentially kind of flipping this model. They are open source, they are free, they're global, so there's no paywall. Anybody can use their application for detecting early cancer. They're running on a decentralized AI compute via Bittensor, of course. And they've already launched a live skin cancer detection app. And they plan to expand this into breast cancer, lung cancer, and brain cancer. I think our early cancer detection, as you all know, is the key to treating and recovering a patient. And so having something like this where, imagine the smartest minds around the globe coordinating and providing their improvements to a large shared AI model, which is just predicting and detecting cancer. That to me, that kind of data set, that kind of a brain, that specific brain, just to be able to do that will unlock billions of dollars. As I've already shared that it's a $10 billion AI market. So this isn't just another crypto toy, right? It's actually bigger than that. It could probably be a huge, health tech company at the intersection of AI, crypto, and decentralization. And if they even capture a slice of this value, they're going to be worth billions of dollars or multi-millions of dollars. And so at an FTV of 26 million, I think it's just a steal deal at this point. I think I don't want to kind of dive into too many numbers at this point, but I think at the fact that they have a working mobile app right now, and they have a clear go-to-market plan, how they're going to expand by, doing partnerships with skin cancer organizations, get medical certifications from FDA, which is in their roadmap right now, expand to 1 million users via the App Store is all, extremely key. And I love the fact that they've decided to stay free for the public and rather monetize through hospitals, clinical partnerships and, other premium use cases. I think that to me will be the game changer because it will lead to massive collection of user and data insights in a federated private way, powered by the Bittensor ecosystem, and would essentially just maybe one day solve cancer, right? So SafeCan isn't just trying to gamify crypto. In summary, it is using crypto to decentralize global cancer detection. So that's it. That brings me to an end of on today's video. I think there's a lot of really, really cool things happening in the world of Bittensor just right now. Something for us to really keep an eye on and think about. The way AI opportunities should be evaluated is not just by the quality of the model output. It is also extremely important that how do we use these models for greater good? How do we make sure the value isn't captured by a few large corporations? because unless you understand how big of an impact AI is going to have in our lives, we will never be able to build this mass consensus. We all need to recognize that AI is extremely powerful and it's extremely dangerous. It's the nuclear bomb moment. It's the it's the Manhattan Project of our era. The only thing is, without blowing ourselves up, we can just put everybody into sublimation, and that's not good. So I highly recommend all of you to spend more time studying decentralized AI. Of course, these days we are only covering Bittensor, but over time I'm going to expand my research and bring you more decentralized AI projects which are operating in the intersection of AI and crypto, what they are doing, how are they building value, and this is all going to be is extremely interesting to me, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had fun recording it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Oh, and I have one little alpha before I go. Let me share my screen again because it is really cool, and I'm going to share this as some kind of a live tracker as well. So I'm sorry, I don't know if I shared the right screen. Let me stop for a second. So I'll share again, and I'll click here, screen 2. All right. So, we've been making this video for the last couple of days, and in that time frame, we have already looked at, 6 projects before, and I've covered these 3 today. For each of the days that I published this video, I'm adding their entry points. Like, if we would have bought this alpha token at this price, what would have happened, right? So I'm going to continue keeping an alpha tracker on all of these AI bets on Bittensor live, and I'm going to share it at the bottom of this video. Keep an eye on them because it will give you a sense of what would have happened if you would have entered, and I'm going to update this daily. So at the end of every day, when I sit down to record my new video, I will add new tokens here and I'll keep tracking the PNL. I think this is a good way to keep the sense of which opportunities are essentially moving and how do we position ourselves in the market. So had we just bought any of these, we would have probably already been up like 42%, which is kind of crazy. If you think about it, like it's a 3-day return, right? But yeah, I just wanted to show you this file. I'm also building a narrative and token tracker. It's extremely early, but I'm just starting to track companies in the DEP AI category. And so this is just a small peek. I think DEP AI, which is decentralized physical AI, is the next frontier. I think Jensen Huang was actually also talking about this, where he was showing what's next after generative AI, and he said the future is going to be powered by robots and machines. We're going to have not just autonomous vehicles, but autonomous factories, autonomous logistics, and he's essentially looking at the entire world as this one galvanized smart machine. And that's the future. There are many projects which are coming up in the DEP AI space, so follow along, follow this channel, like, share, and subscribe. Drop me your comments if you like today's video, if you want me to cover other narratives, if you have coins that you want to, or projects that you want me to look at, drop them below. I promise I will bring them into my upcoming video. And I'm also, once we cross 100 subscribers or so, I'm going to definitely start doing more live projects as well. All right, guys, that's it from me today, and have a great Sunday. Sayonara.